you'll be able, once you pick up that baggage again, what do you know? It'll be lighter, right?
Yes.
And you'll be able to see what you have to do without thinking as much, and it'll come naturally. And it's crazy because we think we have to think so much to come to a solution, right? But when we take a break, hit that reset button and just be, the answer just comes to us.
I put my phone on, do not disturb. Don't wanna talk, I don't
Ladies
wanna.
and gentlemen, welcome back to the 11th episode of the Conscious Cast.
I think,
I
around
believe.
there.
Yep. And so, yeah, we bought our own office space
Yes.
for this special
Making
episode.
quality YouTube money out here.
Yes, sir. All from the YouTube channel.
Definitely.
No cap. All right. So, anyways, today we're going to be talking about time management, and we, at least both of us, and I'm sure all the viewers watching this around the world will be going back to school, or it's coming into like a busy season for a lot of people, or maybe you're already busy. I've been busy throughout the summer, as have you with work. All the working out and all this stuff, and so we want to share from our own experience. Just kind of skills about time management and how that's kind of tied into our lives and helped us over time, and then we'll just see where the discussion takes us, as always. So my boy Cole, start him off.
Yeah, so a little bit of knowledge of what's coming down the pipeline. I got a little bit of action coming down.
Yes, sir.
The first lesson of the School of Hard Knocks will be coming soon,
Yes, sir.
but you will see me repeat this in that episode. But a lot of people say that you don't have enough time, but you need to make time. There's really no excuse. You have 24 hours a day. If you want to get something done, you have to commit to it. You have to make time. But like I said this before, if you have a 9-to-5 job, 8 hours of your day are accounted for, but you still have time before and after to get shit done.
And you've worked a 9-to-5 before, so
Yeah.
pretty close to it.
Yeah, 8 hours full time. Yeah, but it's like you still. I always made time for the gym, unless it was like closed or something. But that's out of my control, and that's another thing you shouldn't have to worry about, or like you should be conscious of, is not like recognize stuff that's out of your control, but adapt your schedule to make that inconvenience kind of suit you. So like if an unexpected roadblock happens where you have to go and do something, sure, it's okay to skip something here and there, but you have to stay on mission. But stuff I do in terms of time management is I look at it like, here's what I have to do, here's where my time is allotted, and where do I have free spaces to do things that I have to do and things that I want to do. Yeah, so I'm not saying you have to stick to a strict schedule or make a strict schedule, but get a whiteboard, throw shit up there, just so you can look at it from a different point of view. Like think of it like a chessboard. You're looking at it from a top-down angle. You can see everything and where it's going. So if you, as opposed to recalling it all in your head, or like looking at your phone is good, but for me, I personally like something big that I can like look at and figure out. Here's what I need to do, and here's at what times I'm going to do it. Like studying is a big one for fucking school in general, and another method that I'm going to start adapting and using is the 25-5 method, where you take 25 minutes of studying, 5-minute break, doing whatever the fuck you want, and then you get back to it, because that allows your mind to take a break from fucking grinding. And you can do like 25 minutes a day if you want to. You don't have to do it for a long amount of time if you don't have the time for it. But if you do a little bit within, like, say you have a test coming up and it's like a week or 2 out, you can take that time to study like 25 minutes a day. If you do 25 minutes a day for 2 weeks, it's 25 times 14. I don't know the math off the top of my head.
I think it's over 1,000 minutes, maybe.
Yeah. It's
a
good amount of time.
Yeah, it's a good amount of fucking.
And you have that information soaked into your, more soaked into your mind than you did before. So it's like, you need to allot time to things that you have to do, and from there you can figure out, once you have knowledge of where your time is allotted for stuff you have to do, like class, and those gaps in between, which for college students is much wider than high school, because you're there fucking all day in high school, but you will have more time to do stuff you want to. and stuff you need to. Like, so you can work a shift at your job for like in between classes if you make the space for it.
Yep.
So, or you can hang out with your boys, get lunch and shit. You know,
100%.
or you can study. Like, you can feed back into yourself with the free time that you have. So, just make sure that you make time for the stuff you need to do, but also don't forget to take a break in between for what you want to do.
Prioritize.
Yes.
Right? And I think I don't know if this is the exact same thing, but it's called like the Pomodoro effect. That like where I learned this in journalism like two years ago, and so pretty much I don't know why they call it the Pomodoro effect, like something to do with pasta, but like you said, you study for 25 minutes and then you have 5 minutes off, right?
Yeah.
And then or like 25 minutes off, however much you want, but kind of like going back to like the scheduling thing and like thinking ahead and having a planner. And, you know, I don't mention this very often because I don't want to seem like some type of fucking douchebag, right? But in college, I've had 3 4.0 GPAs, right? And I'm not saying that to say I'm, like, superior or anything like that, but it has come with scheduling, right? It has come with planning ahead. And through, like, having a planner for school, right? Like you said, you write down everything you need to do in that day, right? I wrote down, like, as soon as I woke up in the morning, you know, maybe after, like, having something to eat, I would write down like all the classes that I need, or when I have classes, right, all the assignments due, and every single day I would like look back at it, right, and I would check it off when I was done. And so, and also I would write down the due dates for assignments. And so this helped me stay aligned and kept my brain fresh with reminding me nearly like every single, I looked at that thing probably like 20 times a day, just because school was online and I was in my room a lot,
Yeah.
and I always knew what I was doing, you know, and so this for me, like transitioning from like in classroom to online has helped me stay organized, it's helped me stay efficient, and once again, I don't like to gloat about like any of this type of stuff, you know, but it's just a fact, you know, I'm just saying it is what
It's a
like,
byproduct
yeah,
of your
exactly, but I don't,
organization.
yeah, and you know, I've mentioned like how I've gotten a 4.0 on this channel before, and it really is not that hard. Like, and don't get me wrong, it is different for every single field, right? If you're in like biomechanics, chemical engineering, like or in a field like yours, you know, where you got to take like computer science, like all that type of shit, you know, like it's very different. The types of classes I take are mainly based on writing and like open dialect and stuff like that. So, and I'm very good at that. So it obviously like I should be good at that, you know. Luckily, it's my major, but. Like, if you're not getting a 4.0, like, don't one, it depends on the subject area, because each subject area is different, and it really should not be compared. But anyways, like, for me, getting a 4.0, like you said, it was a byproduct, right? I wasn't really that wasn't really my goal, right? Like, I kept it in mind, like, obviously, like, all of us want that, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, through staying consistent, through, like, being in the moment here and now, right? And like staying stress free, because like having a plan, right? Preparation, right? And I forget exactly. You're only as good as your preparation, right?
Yeah, it's like I literally was talking to James about this today. It's like it's better to have training and not need it than to need it and not have it. But it's like when in a situation where that demands like a high stress response, you are only as good as your preparation.
100%.
Yeah. So it's the same thing with like testing. Like that's a very high stress situation for a lot of people because depending on how you are with testing and shit like that, it's very make or break. But like still, you're only as good as how much you fucking studied. And like for me, like going back to what you're saying about the different majors, like online had its ups and downs for me. Cannot learn fucking math online. And for some fucking reason, they make us fucking cybersecurity and computer science majors take fucking math classes, even though it has literally almost nothing to do with what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like, there's no math, like there's next to no math involved in proper cybersecurity, and I can speak on this having interned at doing cybersecurity in a corporate environment.
High class, fucking top tier
and
corporation.
Like a lot of this is one of my coworkers was talking about it because he's trying to get his degree because he has a degree in something but he's going for something secondary. But he was saying like, you know, a lot of it's about like different software and how like you shouldn't be using like nobody uses the software anymore, but that's wrong because some operations on certain design software is needed to be operated on older shit because it doesn't work on the newer stuff due to some different programming. But it's like, that's real world experience stuff that they don't tell you in college, because, and it's good to have both. And I'm fortunate enough that I could go through school for like all these 4 years and be working the summers and winters at this internship. And it's very, like, going back to the internship, I was always still learning. And it's time management. You gotta, if you want to learn something, you have to put a lot of time to it. And like, now that school is being back in person, I can have a better opportunity to actually learn this math, even though I'm not really going to need it. But
It'll be good.
yeah, it's like I can succeed easier. Now I had no problems. Like I think it was like spring semester when we first got locked down.
Yeah.
I had no problems with that, because it's like, number one, all the stuff I was doing I was interested in, but the fall of 2020 got a little whack, because some of it was, like, trig was a big one, and because that was
hard shit.
Yeah, and it's a pain in the ass, because it's really, there's so many factors that kind of make that a fucked situation, because if your teacher doesn't know how to operate technology that good, you're in the shitter. If they can't really teach the class effectively in terms you can understand, you're in the shitter. If they don't have office hours because it's the Rona, you're in the shitter. It's like there's so many stuff that will fuck you up in terms of some of these classes. But it's the shortcomings are making you work harder on stuff that you probably shouldn't have to. But then again, you got to get through it because of time management. Like, that helps kind of get through it, even though you're in a shitty situation. And that's another thing. You can't really, I said this before, but I'm going to say it again. You can't let yourself get, like, stonewalled by stuff you can't control. You can control where your time is allotted. That's the big thing. You can control what you invest your time into, but you can't control other outside factors. There are variables independent of your schedule that will interfere with it, that you need to account for. And, like, for me, I had this situation where I needed, I think it was like a new car or something. I had to make a security deposit for our new house, and that we were filming in previously. And what had happened was, I was still in the middle of school. It was like final season, and I didn't have, a job, like, for all of COVID, even though, I tried to apply to stuff. And then I was faced with this situation where I'm like, shit, I gotta pay for my car, I gotta do this. So instead of getting stressed out about it and, getting all depressed or in my head or whatever, I just, like, took a step back and I'm like, I gotta do what I gotta do. So I applied for 2 different places to work the night shift, like unloading packages for like Amazon and FedEx. And I was like, I can't let myself get stopped here, so I'm gonna fucking do what I have to. And fortunately, like, my family bailed me out of it because they didn't want me working myself to the bone. But I was fully prepared to do it. It's like, because it's a matter of the mission. Like, there is the big goal. And all of my actions here, in this present moment, are sprinting towards that goal. And there's a lot of change in that. And each link is a work in progress. And if I keep my structure good, it's going to be easier to strengthen the chains to get to the goal. And
what's the goal?
Yeah.
What is the goal?
The goal is being the FBI agent.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah. And the mission takes priority over anything else for me, to a degree. If I have to, hang out with my friends less and put more into school, it is what it is. It is what I need to do to get to that point.
Yeah.
If I have to get a fucking shitty job to pay for something that's going to happen in my future that will better improve my quality of life, I will do it, because I have to organize my time. it adds another layer of complexity, but it is a necessary evil in order to get to where I need to go.
Yeah.
So it is easier to compile your schedule, or it is easier to achieve short-term and long-term goals when you have a compiled schedule and you understand how to organize your time. Because if you understand how to organize your time, you can figure out it's easier to figure out the inconsistencies and small, like, little problems if, like, when you know you have a set schedule. But you also need to make sure that is flexible. Because if you're rigid, and, like, one of my friends is very schedule oriented, and she needs, like, structure, or else she'll lose it to a degree. You know, she's gotten better at that with, you know, my help and stuff. But she was like, if the schedule isn't right, I can't do anything. I need a routine. And it was like, you got to be more flexible. You have to allot yourself time to take a break, because a lot of people in college will work themselves to the fucking bone.
Yeah.
And you will be worse off banging your head against the wall and not making a dent. So you need to figure out, like, you need to give yourself a break. You have the schedule. You know what you need to do. You know when you need to do it. But you also need to allot yourself time to breathe. No, you can't be swimming laps like Michael Phelps and live under the water. Even the champs got to take a breath once in a while.
Yeah.
So you got to remind yourself. You got to take a step back. That's probably one of the biggest things I can say during this episode. Is you can do all the planning you want, and you can keep it going. You can work yourself to the bone, but you will be worse off for it. Like, breaks are extremely important. Like with studying and working out. Working out is huge. Rest days are so important. That way you don't fuck up your body.
Yeah.
Now, you can work out every day, but if you're working the same muscles, you're gonna get fucked up.
Yeah.
So you can't be working yourself too hard, because you're human and you need to rest. Your mind is a muscle too, and if you keep trying to train it when it doesn't have any more gas, you're gonna blow up the engine. So you got to make sure that you know when to take a break, and when you have you need to first figure out what you need to do and when you need to do it. Compile a schedule. Find time for yourself, and then enact the plan. Execute the plan. So there's 4 stages. I'd say it's kind of like the scientific method. Compile your data. Compile what you need to do and when you need to do it. Formulate a plan. Organize a schedule. Give yourself time in between the schedule to break. Reset. So you don't interfere with the findings of, or like the experiment, essentially. And then 4, execute it.
So I think a really good point you brought up is giving yourself time.
Yeah.
And for me, this is a big thing that I did last semester. You know, for me at least, I had a lot more free time during the week because school was online. We weren't in class as much, and there was a lot of autonomy and like free time to do what you want. You know, whether you spent that time doing nothing or like spend that time, doing school, going to eat. You had a lot of free time, at least the university we're at. And for me, I would take, like, every single day, this is my favorite time to meditate, I would take from, like, 1:45 to, like, 3:45 to just be, right? And I would, like, go and eat, right? And then after I was done eating, I would go out by, Marcus White, and I would just sit on a bench and just do nothing. And I would close my eyes, and I would do that for, like, 30 minutes, and then I would go inside. There's a big-ass comfy chair, and I would just sit there and look out the window. Like the really nice garden with the window?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's like a chair right up there, and I would just look out the window, just be. And then I would like walk around, go on like a walk afterwards, and then I'd come back, and then, whatever happened after that, I forgot.
Yeah.
But that for me was like the greatest reset method that I had, right? And so if you can, obviously, now I'm not going to be able to set myself 2 hours aside within one session every single day to just chill out and do fucking nothing, right? Because don't get me wrong, if I could do that every single day, hell yeah, I would, right? And it's because it's awesome, and like by the end of it, I was in nirvana like every single day, and I was like barely even thinking, and it was great because through that I allowed myself to. It allowed me to have that being state flow through to my work, right? And it allowed me to flow through my schedule. And like when you have that designated time, whether it be like in the morning before you go to work, whether it be on your lunch break or something like that, it is a great reset method that we kind of talked about with the Pomodoro effect, right? It gives your mind, that muscle, a break, right? It gives it a little recovery time, a little breathing room, so you're not so glued to the task at hand. And I found myself doing this a lot of times, just in this past week alone, right? Like, because I've noticed, like, when humans in general, I've become more aware of this, but when they get a whole bunch of shit thrown at them, right, and they aren't aware of, like, how to manage, how to structure, how to just, like organize, right, like, literally scheduling, time management, they become very overwhelmed, right? And I was becoming overwhelmed, but I was like, okay, Cal, I've been through this before. Like, I know I'll get through it, right? Like, I have trust in myself. And what do you know? I'm getting through it. I'm already 1 week down. I just got another week to go, and we're chilling, right? At least in my mind. But it is very interesting because when we get thrown a whole bunch of tasks, and when our mind interprets it, at least the way we're conditioned, our mind just doesn't stop. It just continually thinks like out of the moment and about all that future shit that has to get done, right? And that, if you're not aware, right, if you're not consciously aware that you're doing that, it can become very stressful, right? And it can, one, it'll ruin your present moment, because if you're stressed out, you're probably most likely not making progress in that present moment in time, right? And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with thinking ahead, right? But you got to do it in the right manner, right? In baby steps, right? What can I do now that will help me in the future? How can I plant a seed now that'll grow and flourish into that whatever tree, flower, whatever that goal is, right? And helps you achieve it. And so, if you can be aware of your mind and like the spontaneous thoughts that are coming in at that maybe first hour or days on end, it will help you a lot over time, because through school, through this week of like, my job's training, and just, like YouTube, which is also a big priority of mine, like these, and working out, like all these things, priorities of ours, I'm not saying we have the exact same priorities, but, just overall, whatever your priorities are, and they start to get entangled up with kind of like all this side shit, right, that you don't want, like you said, external things out of your control, you gotta figure out a way to help, figure a way to keep your priorities straight while also being successful at all that other crap. So, and I think you did a really good job of explaining how to do that.
Yeah.
And
like going back to like just to put it into a metaphor, you gotta keep your priorities straight, and a lot of shit will try and get entangled.
Yeah.
And you can't let this. You gotta keep them straight. Rubber band, keep it stretched. Those are your priorities. You can't let it get twisted up and knotted, because then those knots are like harmful schools of thought, like stress, frustration, depression, all of these. If you keep everything straight, that like you can't, you're like, and you're running towards your goals and keeping the schedule, there's not a lot of room for those mindsets to take root in your brain.
Contamination.
Yeah, but I was gonna say something, but I forgot. But let me process it real quick. Fuck.
Yeah, you're good. No, you're good.
It'll come back.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it was I think it was fucking something to do with something you said earlier. No, whatever. We'll just move on. It'll come back to me. But going back to like the whole taking a break thing, it's always good. It's never not good to take a break. But it's good to keep your mind sharp.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that should be avoided when scheduling, and that's being too attached.
Oh yeah. Being flexible.
Too attached to the schedule will be harmful, because if you put too much faith in that, like, and you start to be shaken and it stops working, so you get knotted up and you can't progress. It's like the string it's a tightrope. It's a tightrope is what it is. Your goals are a tightrope. They're easy to walk on when they're straight. But if it's all tangled and fucked up, you ain't walking that. You're gonna fall down. And so you gotta keep it good.
Yeah.
But now I remember what I was gonna say. Going back to what you were saying about the 2-hour reset. My reset was the gym. I would I would finish class and I had work to do after. It would be like 5 or something, later in the day. Go to the gym, reset my mind, come back, take a shower, eat, and then I'd get to work. And it helps. That was kind of a looser structure, but the gym is always something I make time for. No matter what I'm doing. If I have the opportunity to work out, I will. But because it's such a necessity in my life. Because it keeps my head clear so I can pursue the mission. And sometimes when I'm away for too long, the knots are present. And working out pulls them tight. So you gotta keep the knots out of the string.
Yeah.
And it's very good as a reset. That's another good thing. You need to, not just taking a break. Taking a break is good, but if you can find a mental reset button, where you got all this shit on your whiteboard in your mind, get that eraser and you wipe it, and you can reset. You need to find a reset, no matter what it is. Be it painting, video games, if it helps for you, or the gym,
Going for a walk.
meditation, going for a walk, cooking, anything.
Breathing.
Breathing. Yeah, fucking breathing. Taking it slow. You need to take it slow.
Baby steps.
If you can find something that helps you take it slow and reset your mind, clean the slate of all the bullshit, all the distraction, all of the necessity that you need to do. If you can find a moment within the day or an activity that you make time for, that you can actively reset, you can press the reboot button on your brain to get all this fuckery out of it. Even but you have the schedule to fall back on. So you can think of it like shutting down your computer. It's healthy for you. It's not supposed to be on all the time. It's not supposed to be running all the time. You hit that restart button, cleans the slate. You're bogged down by work, but you're following the schedule. You're keeping stuff good, but you have to do all this shit, and you're doing everything, but it's always on your mind. You need to find an activity where you can have nothing on your mind. You can just clean it, and you're like, I'm ready. I go to the gym, I pump iron, I get the negativity out, but I also reset my mind. I come out there feeling accomplished, and I'm ready to take on the next task that I have to. And you need to find something that will help you do that. So find an activity that you can reset your mind with and make time for it every day. Because you need a reset. No matter what, you need a reset. It is a form of break, but it is separate from an enjoyable, fun break and I need time break. It is a break in and of itself. It is a mind break. Not just for your brain, but it is a next. Wipe it, move on. Wipe it, move on. You need time for that.
Yep. And like you said, whether that be working out or going for a walk, meditation, breathing, it's like leaving that baggage at the door, right?
Yes.
As soon as you walk in,
taking out the trash.
take it out the trash, right? And in that moment in time when you're fucking stressed out of your shit's hitting the fan, right?
Yeah.
And you're just
Even if you're you got everything going on, you still need to wipe off the whiteboard.
Yeah.
You need to clean slate.
Yeah, definitely. And just when shit's hitting the fan, right? And you are really in your mind, right? You're really identifying with your thoughts, and you are a prisoner of your own mind. The best way to free that is to just be present, right? Come back down to the present moment and accept the isness of this moment. And when I say isness, I mean everything around you that already is, right? Just like this fucking, like, what, like, good and bad aside, just like, you know, just what it is, you know, neutral thing, right? And so you could really, when you put that baggage down at the door, right, and you enter that activity, right, whether it be, we'll just use the gym for an example, right, so say I'm walking to the gym, right, I'll leave all my fucking mental baggage, all that shit in real life outside, and when I go in there, I forget about myself, I forget about all my problems, I forget about all, like, you know, all of the chains that are weighing me down, right,
Yeah.
because within that amount of time that you're there, that does not exist, right,
Yeah.
and when you go into the gym and you reset, hit that reset button, in the time, we'll just say, like, on the computer, right, you know, how it takes, when you shut off your computer, it takes time for it to come back on,
Yeah.
right? When it does fully come back on, it's more clear, right? It's
Yeah.
fresh. It's not weighed down with a bunch of programs, right? And you'll be able, once you pick up that baggage again, what do you know? It'll be lighter, right?
Yes.
And you'll be able to see what you have to do without thinking as much. And it'll come naturally. And it's
Yeah.
crazy because we think we have to think so much to come to a solution, right? But when we take a break, hit that reset button and just be, the answer just comes to us. And that may not be true in all cases, don't get me wrong. Like, there's definitely situations where you have to think, right? But a lot of times we can just take a step back and just observe our surroundings, say, like, for maybe 20 minutes or 2 minutes. The answer can come to you innately.
Yeah. Oh, so that time.
You want to keep going?
Yeah,
Go for it.
okay,
Go for it.
so I was going back to the, going into the gym and leaving your baggage at the door. Sometimes, at least sometimes I'll do it. I'll take my baggage into the gym
Oh, yeah, bring that shit in the gym.
and I'll throw that fucking shit around.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a good method of
Yeah.
stripping away the bullshit.
Definitely.
Because, like, I'll take all this negativity into the gym and I'll strip it. I take the suitcase, I fucking throw it on the ground. I open that up and I'll rip it through. Don't need this, don't need this, don't need this. I'm lifting, you know, negativity gone, stress gone,
Yeah.
anxiety gone.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
every rep is taking out the trash and washing, you know,
Yeah.
washing the floor, getting the dirt, getting the rust off, everything. You know, you're doing pull-ups, you're next.
Detoxing.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It is detox.
Yeah.
And that's going back to the, you know, cleaning the slate. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
You can either drop all your shit at the door, go in, and figure out what you really need to do once you have that fresh mindset, or you can take it in and clean it the fuck out.
And honestly, dude, yeah, I kind of want to leave. Like, don't get me wrong. That analogy of leaving your baggage at the door, yes, 100%. But what you said brings up a very good point. When you're in meditation, right, you don't want to suppress your thoughts. And I don't want people to get the interpretation that leaving your baggage at the door is like, okay, I should just
Forget everything.
Forget everything, right? No, I don't want that interpretation.
Yeah, you
that's
don't want to close your eyes
yeah,
to the problem.
exactly, right? Because eventually you'll develop a habit of suppressing your emotions, which is not what we want, right? So if you can, like you said, bring that shit in with you, right? Whether it be into the gym, whether that be in, like, because in meditation, essentially what you're doing is you're observing your problems, right? You're with the baggage, right?
Yeah.
You're moving through that state, right? And so same thing in the gym, right? You're bringing that negativity with you into the gym and you're moving through it.
Yeah.
And so through this, rather than like suppressing your problems and leaving them for later, maybe you're leaving, picking up the bag, right? And let's just say it is just as heavy as when you came in, right? The difference there is when you bring it in with you, you'll be able to like sift through it, observe it, see it how it is, and
Without clouded judgment.
without clouded judgment and non-judgment, exactly
Mhm.
at that same time of just being, you know.
Yeah.
And so yeah,
Yeah, and like I said before, I think I might have mentioned this in the first or second episode of the Conscious Cast. It was like my meditation's different, where I don't try and clear my head. It's literally taking the baggage in and looking through it. I focus on one issue. I focus on one thing. Dissect it. And I'm like, okay, you know, my mind is clearer having done this, but also I can see this, you know, I can see it for what it is. Even though it might not be what I want it to be, I understand. And I understand how, you know, if you see something for what it, you know, if you see its Achilles heel, essentially. There's a weak point, a flaw to everything. And once you discover the flaw and the problem, whether it be you or the problem itself, there's always a solution. Always a method of exploitation to acquire, you know, I have this problem. Blow it up in my head. Look at it for what it is. Pinpoint the weaknesses and exploit it. And solve the problem. Like studying, you know, there's no way to get around it. There's no way to get around it. The only way to succeed in a test environment is practice. But there's different methods of practice. So it's another thing where it's like, I'm sitting, you know, in my bed or something, and I'm thinking, and I'm like, what's the problem? Expand. And look at the problem. What's the best way to solve the problem? And then from there I can glean what I need to do. From by thinking on it, not by not thinking of it.
Time management, you know, scheduling, taking a break, you know, all these things we have covered and how to tackle them. But kind of going with this flow, I kind of wanted to talk about just like how we as individuals contend to become too strict, right? Too dedicated to our schedule, right? And this goes hand in hand with taking a break, right? Like being flexible. But even like taking a break, you could be like, okay, like let's just say something comes up, right? And it comes between that 1:45 and 3:45 window that I would usually take a 2-hour break. You know, honestly, like if you're used to taking a break during that time, you're probably going to be pretty pissed, right? And you're probably going to be like, man, I really don't want to. But if you can be like, okay, it's not a big deal, I can push it back or maybe not spend as much time, right? Be able to be flexible in that whatever type of schedule you have, right? And because obviously sometimes you're going to have to like allocate time, like for class, for example, right? You have to be there at the beginning and you'll leave at the end, right? But when spontaneous things come up, right? Because like we're literally in the world of becoming where things are constantly, you know, being thrown at us, external factors that are out of our control, even like within us, right? Like instinctually, you know, when we have like that dopamine dragon hit, you know, and we're sitting at our desk, we know we should be at our desk, but then, you know, like that fucking shitter voice in your head is like, yo, dude, just go on Instagram, you know.
Hey,
yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah, I mean that's a big one. We'll probably do a whole fucking episode on that eventually. But yeah, I mean, kind of just yeah. We'll talk about porn. No, but just to kind
of a conversation the boys had around the fire. Long story.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, maybe on the first episode of the Unconscious Cast, we'll talk
we
about
have to wear like absurd glasses and orange and black for that fucking episode. That'd be fucking hilarious.
Gotcha.
Right. Back to the Conscious Cast.
Yeah, no, a question I wanted to ask you, like, do you, I mean, your schedule's right now at least, a little bit more flexible, right, because you're not at work.
Yeah.
Right? But like within your life, like prior to now, have you ever like had a strict schedule and then like when a spontaneous circumstance arises, right, that kind of throws you off that schedule? Like how would you react and like what would you do?
Okay, so I'm trying to think of an example because it's probably going to be around high school because then I was working back in ye old days working at Panera Bread.
Ooh, damn! I didn't know you worked at Panera.
Yeah,
It's
it's the white privilege restaurant. Literally, like.
Really?
Yeah, it's like it is the most like whitewashed restaurant. Excuse me, can I get the onion soup? You know, it's just like it's so petty.
Yeah,
but it was like my friends would work there, so it was just we'd fuck around. But it was fun. But like that, I had situations where it's like some days I would just I'd get back from school, I'd either go straight to work from school or I just have work to do and shit. And like I was doing judo at the time too. So like Tuesday, Thursdays I was working because I'd be going to judo. So it's like when my time was like I had to deal with school, go to judo, and go to work. So back then, sometimes shit would be thrown in a wrench, and it was either I'd be working for a tournament, I'd be doing a tournament or something, or I'd have time, or I'd be studying for a test and I didn't have time. There were a lot of times where I had to sacrifice, like, stuff that I wanted to do for stuff I had to do. Like, judo, sometimes I would not go because I had a test to study for. And that kind of sucked, but I had to because I didn't have time the day before because I would work. So it's like I had to make sacrifices, and I didn't want to, but I replaced it with, like, probably going to the gym. Or, like, I had weight training at school that day, and I got that out of my head in there. But it's the same principle where it's like you need to make sacrifices sometimes, and it sucks. It really fucking does suck.
Yeah.
But if you get shit that's out of your control that you really need to do, and you don't fucking want to do it, like, goddamn, I had a fucking essay to write, and I had to skip judo. I fucking hate essays. They make STEM majors take fucking English, I don't know why. They should not, but they do anyway, because it sucks. But, nonetheless, you gotta do it. You gotta get shit done. You know what sucks? The big swinging dick. You gotta get it done.
Extra sack, man.
Yeah. Extra sack. Maximum swamp ass in that motherfucker too. Getting crimped by the dirty dick.
Alright.
And that's what it is. You gotta watch out for the dirty dick. Because you don't see it coming. Then it gets you. But you need to, sometimes, you gotta make time. You gotta sacrifice stuff you want to do to clean the dirty dick.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
That's the fucked analogy.
Yeah, let's get all dicks and shit, but yeah, I like that analogy. I think someone will be able to connect with that and see what we're talking about. Yeah, whether it be a male, female, listen, man, we don't discriminate for
You don't discriminate. Your connection with the dirty dick is your own.
Yeah, it's
Sometimes
we all have it. We all have it.
We all get
we all get the dirty dick, right?
Alright.
But yeah, oh, damn, that was good. Alright, I didn't even mean to say that. But no. On a more serious note,
Yes.
Alright, yeah, no, on a more serious note.
Alright,
Yeah.
moving on.
Moving on. On a more serious note, when I think like a big word that you said there was sacrifice, right? And I think I wanted to say this, or I was thinking it in the first episode, or the first segment we did, or the second segment, was you're not always going to get what you want, right? And we always
Rolling Stones. You
right?
can't always get what you want.
And like obviously we want reality to reflect what we want, right? Like if I could have, like personally for me, like I have this natural animal, like I am perfectly fine how I am within this moment here and now, right? But do I want a girlfriend? Yeah, sure, right? Is it a need? No, right? There's a difference between that.
Yes.
It's a want, but it's not a need, right? Like I am perfectly fine without having a girlfriend, right? Do I want a girlfriend? Do I want a significant other that I can, have a great relationship with? Of course, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure the same goes for you. Maybe not right now, but like you know where I'm going with
Yeah.
that. But it's when we don't get what we want and reality reflects something else, it's almost if you're too attached and you care too much about that particular avenue of like maybe having a girlfriend or wanting a certain attachment to result.
Oh,
right,
oh.
yeah, right there. Attachment to outcome. And when we're because we're right here right now, right? We have goals that we want, right? I want this YouTube channel to grow, right? That's a goal, right? You want to become an FBI agent, that's a goal,
Yeah.
right? But you know it, right? It's in the back of your mind, but you're not like, I'm not trying to speak for you, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like you're not, right here in this moment right now, like you're not crazy attached to that goal, right? Like you don't, maybe you are, but like, I think, at least for me, it's like, if reality does not match up with steps that I'm taking to get that goal within that moment in time, it's okay because I have time to get that goal, right?
Yeah.
And so, obviously, you do care a tremendous amount about becoming an FBI agent. I'm not saying that, but when, like you said, when these spontaneous things come up that kind of throw you off track of that goal,
Yeah.
right? Like, well, I'll ask you your opinion on this. Like, how would you compensate for that? Like, how would you react to that?
Well, the way I look at it
Yeah.
is, for me, like there is this. There's a stairway to heaven. Heaven is the goal, but there's steps I got to take to get there. And the goal, I can see it all I want. I can always look at it and call back to it. But that is what brings me kind of clarity and discipline in the current moment, because I realize if I stumble here, I can never get there. If I fall down the stairs here, I can never get to the top of the staircase. But the staircase is short-term goals. And the short-term it's very much a snowball effect. You get momentum, and you start building. But sometimes you hit a fucking rock, and you lose momentum. And when you lose momentum, you keep looking at the top of the hill. And you keep climbing. Like, short-term goals, like school. I know this is not the end of the line. It is a step in the journey. So when I trip, I get back up and I keep walking it. So, like, graduate college, work for 2 years to get the requirements, for the 2 years full-time work experience requirement, then apply for the bureau. But these are short-term, long-term goals, or long-term rather. Short-term would be passing classes and getting grades up. Those are short-term, and it's in the short-term where you can stumble. The long-term is like
Good point.
the long-term is. I'm trying to think of an analogy. The long term is like, I guess bird watching. Really, you can see it, but you can't touch it because it's so far away. You're watching it.
That's a good point.
You can see, and like you're standing in a fixed position, and you're looking through binoculars at what you want, and you can choose to take the steps forward. But still, the long term is less tangible than the short term. The short term you can directly affect. There's your position and then there's the position of the bird. And you can move closer to the bird. But you can never, it takes time to where the bird flies closer to you, or you go closer to the bird.
Yeah, the bird's always flying around too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's weird, what you do in the short term dictates your direction towards the long term. So if there's a wrench that gets thrown in my engine, you gotta take a step back, figure out what's going on, where the problem is, where you're getting bogged down, remove it and move forward. So what I'll do is I always have that goal to give me perspective, to remind me that if I fail here, I can never get to there. Now it's a very much a sense of motivation for me, but it's not. I'm not so attached to it that I let it drastically affect me currently.
Yeah.
It's more of like
That's what I was getting at.
yeah. It's more of I'm here, and if something fucked up happens, I look at it and I think to myself, if I fuck up here, I can't get to there. But it's not so much dominating my mind. It's always in the back of my mind, and I use it as a source of motivation. But I don't need it all the time.
Yeah, gotcha.
I know where I'm going,
Yeah.
so I don't always need it to push me forward. But there are times where I need to step back and realize that if I fuck up here, I can't get to there. If the bridge is burnt where I am, I can never cross the river. So that's how I look at it. But once again, talking about wants more than needs, that's a lot of things.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
but there's a lot of, for me, it's one of those things where it's like, I am uncompromising with that goal. Like, a lot like that's the dream, and I like that's another thing. Like,
Like, no one can persuade your opinion.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
especially with like relationships is another thing. You should never let anyone tell you that your dream is less than what you think it is. You can't compromise your morals, can't compromise your dreams, and like say I get a girlfriend and she doesn't like the fact that I want this job. It's like, I'm sorry, you're not going to change my mind.
Yeah.
Like,
Believe me.
it's like I'm not. I've been working too hard to let someone else come into my life and tell me that I shouldn't do this. Like, you can see the fuckery there, and it's like you can't be dissuaded from your path by the offer of comfort necessarily. Like
Oh yeah.
it's
I
very
think you posted on your Instagram story yesterday, right?
Yeah. There's a Henry Cavill quote. It's like the comfort zone is where dreams go to die.
Yeah.
And there's no growth that happens outside.
Relationships are a great way to enter your comfort zone and be
Yeah.
the pleasure.
Yeah. And it's like, but there's nothing wrong with relationships.
Of course.
They can be very good for you. But going back to what you said in the previous episode, you gotta be careful who you let into your life. And that's another thing about time management is your environment. You need to be conscious of your environment
Yeah,
and
who you're
how
around you.
how you can navigate it.
Yep.
And who you can rely on to better organize yourself. So, if you have that going on, then you can more easily see the path. Like, actually, a good way to put it is, if everybody's got a flashlight, and they're all looking in different directions, you're not going to see as much. But if you're all pointing your flashlight in the same direction, you have other people helping you find what you need to do, you're going to see a lot more.
Oh yeah. That's cool. Send it there.
I put my phone on, do not disturb. Don't wanna talk, I don't wanna hear a word. I got these feelings I be feeling inside. Try not to lose my mind. I give my energy to everyone else. Sometimes I feel like I'm all by myself. I wanna vent, but don't know if it helps. Trying not to lose my mind. It's like I'm stuck in a phase. I be just looking at my life and how far I came. Sometimes I'm amazed, but I be having them days. I cannot talk about it, but I'm dealing with things and it really hurt me. I just be sharing my life, I'm trying to help. I hope that it's worth it.